Okay. All right. Okay. So, okay, you addressed the causes. Okay, let's look at. Um, I mean, it would be somewhat premature to say, okay, which one is usually the most. But we do know that failed marriages have contributed quite a lot to, the matter of single parenthood. I'm not saying it's the highest contributor, but we know that is one thing that is prevalent in our society. That's a conversation for another day. But let's talk about challenges faced in these different categories where you have people dealing with single parenthood. I'm trying as much as possible to not make it a one-sided conversation, so that we can address it from the point of both the single father and the single mother, because whether we like it or not, there are men who are having to deal with this. There are men who are widowers. That's the word, right? Yes, who are widowers who are having to deal with this. And then you've also had men who are in marriages that didn't quite work out as expected, and then maybe by virtue of custody or something, end up having to care for the child. So there is that. And then I'm not quite sure that you would have cases of people that men who end up being single dads even before they get into marriage. It's not usually prevalent, but
but I know one person.
Okay.
It's not very popular because most of the time the child will be with the mother. But in this particular case, the lady involved, left the child and moved on with our own life without turning back.
Okay.
Yes.
All
so
right.
The boy had to, involve his own family, but as we speak now, he's taking care of the child all by himself.
Okay.
And then there's the category of people who choose single parenthood.
Yes. They say I don't want a partner in this. They find a way, have the child, and then take full responsibility for the child. Yes, I know that there are people that's not also as prevalent. We don't have it, even though some people will say, okay, something that people are considering more often. But, part of the reason why we're having these conversations is so that if for any reason people decide to take that step, right, they're fully informed of everything that goes into that. And it's not something that they will do half-heartedly. When they go into it, they go into it fully. But let's talk single-parent families and some of the challenges that they face. Everything from financial struggles. Sometimes you even have single parents who are still dealing with matters of custody and conflict with the other parent in their child's life, right? And then there's that thing of not having someone to share the load of raising a child. And when I say raising a child, I'm not talking just about financial load. There is also the emotional load as well. Can one parent fully function and provide everything that is required in the life of their child, as well as they would have had in a two-parent family? But having said all of this, one of the most common problems comes down to financial challenges of being able to raise a child or children, right, in a single parent household. It doesn't seem like it's usually that easy. So where you would have two people putting in the work, now you have one person having to do all of that. But I'm not going to speak too much. I'm going to let you do some of those. So highlight some of the challenges that we have, and then let's take on those challenges and see how the single parents who are listening in today can surpass those challenges and thrive, which is so important. The thriving part, which the child here is so important, or the children here are so important. But let's take those challenges, take them apart, and see how they can thrive. Okay, please go ahead. Hello, ma. Okay, I think your mic is muted. Can you unmute your mic, please, so that we can hear you?
Okay.
There we go.
So I've been so sorry about that. The light situation, is making things difficult. My battery is running low, and I'm trying to sort that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't allow that distract me anyways. Okay, so it isn't an easy place to be. First of all, I must accept that, and I must mention it. Because even people who chose single parenting by choice, in as much as it's not very popular around here, I know about 2 ladies who said to themselves, okay, I'm getting old. There is no suitor, or the people who are coming to ask for my hand in marriage, I don't want to marry them. I don't like them. Okay. So rather than just remain like this and say I'm without a husband and I'm still without children, let me go ahead and help myself. And then one way or the other, they make it happen. I know of one who went the medical route because she could afford it. I know of someone who just profiled a young man and said, okay, this one is okay, it's fine. Looks like his family is okay. I will just, get pregnant for him and cut him off. He would never even know that, I was planning a pregnancy.
Wow.
So I know these 2 people, at least. I am very sure of that. And the same challenges, that even those who did not choose single parenting are facing is the same thing that they are facing too. And the first one is, let me say, the single parenthood is such a huge responsibility. It's such a huge responsibility, and many times single parents almost crumble under the weight of the responsibility. This is because in a normal family, you could divide chores. In a normal family where we are both father and mother, you could divide chores, and then you could divide between yourselves what has to be done. Even if the marriage is not quite working, we are actually looking at the children here. Okay? So a man may not really like his wife, they may not be in good terms, they may not be talking, but he will still take them to school, for instance. But when it is only one parent, this parent has to get everything done. So the person who wakes up early to bathe the children is the same person that has to pack their lunch boxes, for instance. Is the same person that has to take them to school. Is the same person that has to pick them up from school. Is the same person that has to keep them entertained, to do homework. If you have a picky eater, you are in trouble. I have one. It is so difficult to get that one to eat. It seems like you have to sit with this person all through the meal, swallow, take another spoon. If you have more than one child, the work doubles. And so the weight is so heavy, you almost collapse. You almost collapse under it. I think that this will be one of the biggest challenges that they have to deal with, the responsibilities. They're not ending responsibilities, no break. You can't tell somebody, please keep the children quiet for me while I get this other thing done. You cannot just wake up and say, you know what, I'm going window shopping. There's somebody that I can trust, or somebody that, the children are comfortable with enough that will take care of them for the next 2-3 hours while I take a break. So it is the responsibility. It is enormous. And single parents all over the world have to deal with this. Another thing will be the finances.
Yep.
The money challenges. Okay, so where 2 parents are working and taking care of children together, they could easily split the financial responsibilities. Okay, so somebody may say, my job is to provide the food. I'll just take care of the groceries and the food and all of that. And the other person will say, okay, I'm focusing on major expenses like school fees, house rent, car maintenance, and light, water bills. In the case of single parenting, you have to take care of yourself all by yourself, and then take care of your children all by yourself. And like my people will say, a bag or a burden that should have been borne by 2 people becomes the job of one person. And it is tiring. You find yourself calculating, you find yourself, budgeting, being extra careful, because there is no other person who is as responsible for these children as you are. And because of the way the society is too, as a single parent, you are also careful not to find yourself in a place where you now have to go and be begging people or trying to borrow money.
True.
Because one of the challenges that single parents also deal with is the way the society looks at them in this part of the world. Before anybody asks the question about how you got there, they are wondering already. Maybe you lived a promiscuous life, or maybe you were not submissive. Why did the man leave you with the children? Maybe you were a bad wife. And here in Nigeria, with diverse cultures, diverse beliefs, there are cultures where they believe that if a woman loses her husband, a widow, she must have killed him. Can you see? So all this tagging by the society is also one thing that single parents live with every day of their lives. And it is not easy. It is not easy for them at all. Now, I can also begin to talk about their jobs and the sacrifice that they have to pay. Now, these are people that cannot afford to lose their jobs or their businesses, right?
If they even had one to start with.
Depending on them.
Yeah.
Okay. But now you cannot take a break from that job, even though you are 100% responsible for children. What happens in case one of the little ones are ill or need extra attention? If that child has to stay back from going to school on a particular day, on a school day, because she's not feeling fine or he is not feeling fine, what do you do as a single parent who also has to report at their place of work? And you have to make sure that you are giving your best at work because you need this job. You cannot afford a query so it is a big challenge.
All
single
right.
parent by choice.
Yeah.
I would use that as an example. You know, the responsibilities became so much for her. The time, you know, she could not afford uses from school. When she was as young as 5, she taught her to open the door.
Open the door
when
to
the
who now?
School bus drops her.
Wow.
Yes, and lock herself in.
Wow.
As young as 5. To turns from work. That would be around 8 p.m. When there were emergencies, you know, she had to depend on a neighbor, a single man at that time. Take the child to the hospital, even in her absence, when those emergencies happened, because it was just her and the child. Now, eventually, this single man got married and brought his own wife, and then they practically adopted the daughter. They practically had to, you know, bring the girl in. Don't lock yourself up. After school, just come here, you know. And that was how they were offering help. So you can see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The responsibilities is a lot. There's no break. And so because of it, I realized that many of their other relationships suffer because they don't even have any energy left. After work, you know, looking for money, taking care of the child full time, you know, they don't have time to pursue friendships. They don't have time to nurture relationships.
Right.
They are tired most of the time. One of them was saying to me, the best time is when I fall into bed. That's the best time of my day. I am always exhausted. I cannot wait to get into bed. Can you see that?
And this is somebody who went into it by choice.
Yes.
Okay.
Funny enough. And then finally, I want to talk about falling in love.
As one of the challenges they face as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As one of the challenges. Because for somebody who wants to love again, let's say a widow, for instance, who actually enjoyed a great marriage, enjoyed all the love, and would want that again. Many of them are worried. And they have good reasons to be worried. That will somebody love me? Would I meet a man that would accept me with these children? Because now they have a responsibility to their children. They don't want to just leave them or send them to the village to grandma. That is if there's a grandma in the village to send them to. Anyway, they want to continue their lives. They want their children to be part of their lives. And yet they also desire companionship. They desire love. And people in this category may be one of the most, may fall into the category of people who find it the hardest to find, a partner.
Especially the women.
Stick with them.
The women,
especially. Yes, the women. Yes. That's true.
Yep.
That's true. The women. So, these are some of the challenges. These are some of the challenges that single parents face in our society, especially the women.
Okay, let me see. I have one or two stories to share here regarding some of the women who have found themselves in this place and are trying to figure out how to move on and how to get better. All right, I have a story here of a lady who she never found herself. She never thought that she would find herself as a single parent. But it started going bad when the father of her child would beat her black and blue when her baby was just 35 days old. And that was what prompted her to leave. Even though her husband's mom, was even, despite the beating, was even encouraging him to send her back to her parents, which she eventually did. She went back to her parents, ashamed. But she said, I had to be strong for my child and, prove that we will survive and not suffer, as the husband who had beat her and sent her packing had assumed, right? So she said she had always pictured the father of her child watching their child take his first steps and being by her side through all the hurdles. She said it took her over 9 months to get back in shape after the incident because of the loss of her own father, which also made the case, her situation much difficult to bear. For a year, she was without a job, and her dad, who had been providing for her and her child at the time, died. So she decided to change location, get a job, even though the pay was very small, but she had to make do with it so that she could take care of her child. And she said she denied herself a lot, which is one thing that single parents are known to do. There's always this thing about them. If you see them looking prim and proper and nice, it is either they're dealing with a lot emotionally, and sometimes that's what they're dealing with on the inside just finds its way out, because everything they have, they pour into their child's life. So this person says she denied herself a lot, had to sell some of her property just to ensure that she had money. But she said she doesn't let the experience affect her. She has been through the toughest of those times. There were even times when her son's friend will ask about, his father, which is another thing that they have to deal with. And she had to paint the father well in the presence of her son so that he would not lose confidence in himself. Luckily for her, she had a brother as a father figure, but her son understands that her brother is not his father. And she says she's waiting for the day he will ask about his father, and she believes the answer will be that her husband, she says, I believe the answer will be my husband, and I will gladly replace his father because he has never looked back. Okay, not quite sure what that meant, but she apparently she hasn't had that conversation with her son yet. But she says she has moved on. She has healed from the pain. She has even tried to reconcile with the son's father, but the son's father frustrated her efforts. But she says whenever she tells her story, she sheds tears now, even though she has healed. She's letting go, because for her, letting go is important to her to be able to, to get past it. Now, while I say this story, let me just drop a statistic as well. Because, we are looking at single parents, but we're talking about the fact that you have a lot more challenges on the side of the women. There is a report that says 30% of single mothers and their families are living below the poverty line, compared to 17% of single father families, right? So you would typically have a woman struggling with single parenthood more than a man who is a single father. Stigma and all of that aside. And then the second story I want to share is about a woman who also due to the terrible relationship she had with her husband, moved out of the house. She decided to move out as well, but she's thriving. So I want to tell her story so we can use that to get into how people who are in these conditions can thrive, right? So you have a woman who met and fell fast in love with the man who she got married to. Within 3 months, they were spending all of their time together. They got married. As a matter of fact, they decided that they did not want to have children for a long time. You know, they gave themselves a period of time, and the woman was like, "Well, I'm fine with that." They were very carefree. They had a loving relationship. They would use their money, travel, tour different parts of the world, and it was all well and good. Then all of a sudden, the man starts to say that he's depressed, and he's not in his right state of mind. They tried to figure it out. At the end of the day, he said the only way that he can get better is if she has a child for him. Now, this is conversation is already changing, right? And then she goes ahead, you know, puts all her plans aside for having a successful career and business and all of that. Because, of course, you know that once you have a baby, the dynamics of your relationship will change. Even you as a person, whether or not you are with a spouse or not. So when he started convincing her to have a baby, she didn't really feel good about it. But she went ahead, had the baby, and she was working in a company, had great perks, working in that company and everything. And all of a sudden, this man who says the way out of this my situation now is that you should have a baby, clearly didn't understand what he was asking for, because when the baby came, it didn't make him feel any better. As a matter of fact, he started quarreling with her over the baby as well, because of course you would want to devote your time to the baby. Unfortunately for him, they had a baby, and the baby even had some medical issues. I think silent reflux, they call it. So the woman was constantly carrying that child. She could only put the child down when she wanted to change her diaper. And so the man got even more depressed and everything. And when he was, when the baby was 8 months old, she had to say, "Look, you need to leave the house. You are not making matters easier for me. We didn't want to have a child. You brought this up. Now we've had the child. You are still blaming me for the issues in this marriage. So I think we should go our separate ways."
Just go.
Which she did. Unfortunately, in the course of having to take care of that child, she lost her job. So she went from earning a major salary, having a lovely, happy life based on the conversations that they had, to becoming a mother who now lost her job and is close to penniless. But she says she's happier. She says she's happier, and she's finding ways to focus on raising her child. At a point, she had to invite strangers to live in the house so that they can cater to some of the bills in the house, sort of like a shared apartment kind of thing. But she's just looking for ways to make sure that her child's the focus. She's making the money that she needs to make, and then she lives a better life. So this is somebody who was able to... It's a difficult one, really. She had to make the tough decisions, and even though she wasn't in a good place financially, she's still trying to make sure that she's able to provide a good life for her daughter. So let's talk about how people can thrive. Single parents, with all the challenges, with the stigma, the financial difficulty, the inability to devote as much time as you should, just even having to make decisions about the lives of that child or the children can take a toll on you. But how can people in this situation thrive?
Okay. First of all, I just really wanted to talk a bit about the stories that you shared.
Okay.
The first lady, or I'm answering your questions already though.
Okay.
But I will just be referring to the stories as I go along.
Okay.
The first lady, I'm really happy for her because, you know, she, despite everything that happened, she sounds like she has embraced the life that she now has. And I believe that every single parent must get to this point. You see, where you accept that it is what it is. This is my life now. This is where we are now. You understand? You embrace it such that it is no longer a problem to you. It is life. You embrace it such that, there is no anger. There is no had I known. You have moved past all of those emotions. You will feel them, but deal with them and embrace life as, okay, this is what it is. If there's a part that you played to find yourself there, for instance, like the people, the examples that I gave of people who chose single parenthood, for instance, without counting the costs. Like you have not been left with a child all alone for 3 months or 6 months ever before. And you just think that it's a joke, Joe, what's there? I will do it. Take responsibility that, okay, it is me that did this one. And I will live with it. If you fall into the category of people who were careless, I have a few young people like that, and it is painful because they are very young. I have a 20-year-old that I'm dealing with who has a 3-year-old child. She's so stressed.
Wow.
With the responsibility of taking care of the child. She's still in school. And unfortunately, in her case, her father has sworn that he does not want to ever see her. Now, her mother is totally financially dependent on her father, and there is nothing she can do to help her. She's only pleading at home 3 years now. In fact, over 3 years. Because since she got pregnant, the father threw her out. Over 3 years, she's only pleading with her husband that, please, this child is our child. Let us help. Let us send financial support. And the man will say never. You can see it. She's all alone. And she's schooling. It's so difficult for her. But in my discussion with her, I had to lead her through this path of taking responsibility. You can blame your father all you want. You can blame your mother for being unable to help you. But you know that it is not these people that put you in the family way. And whatever it is you were doing at age 16, 17 that got you pregnant, you know that it will lead to pregnancy if you do not, protect yourself or something. So, just go through all the thoughts, go through it, the circumstance, how you got there, and accept responsibility. When you accept first that this is now my life, you embrace your new life and accept responsibility. I believe that it makes things easier for you in your own mind. And when you have won that battle in your mind, then it becomes even evident in your everyday life too. So that is number one.
Okay.
That is number one. Number two, of course, if you made a mistake, you are not like someone who was widowed. You are not like someone whose marriage ended tragically, right? If you made a mistake, learn from your mistakes. Take your lessons from it so that you don't repeat it. Because I have seen single moms who were struggling with one child that came from a failed relationship, still get pregnant for someone else. They did not learn anything from the first time they were beaten. They will say once beaten, twice shy, but in their own case, they are not shy at all. You see them repeating the same mistake. How they got pregnant the first time, I don't know. They are pregnant again with another child for somebody else. That is how one woman eventually had 4 children for 4 different men. Wow. She's not a loose woman. She was just so gullible. In her own case. No, she's not loose. Loose is not the word I would describe her. But gullible, believing every promise that, even if, so learn from your mistake, okay? And so when you have done those 2 things, you have accepted responsibilities, you have embraced the new life, the next thing that I will say is that a single parent has to figure out what their support system or who their support system is. You cannot do this alone. You cannot. Even in a woman that has husband that has a husband, and husband and wife are both raising their children, there are times that they would have to lean on other people. There are times that they would have to say, okay, this couple, we are comfortable with them. Maybe the kids can go and spend the whole day at their place so that we can breathe. A single mother or a single parent needs such support system even more. This is what can lighten the burden for you. So who can you lean on? Do you have a close friend that you can trust, that you can lean on in times of emergency? You may have to have a discussion with such a person. Let them know, or at least try to know if really they are placing you in that place in their lives too. If really they can stand in for you when need be. Do you have a family member that is close by? You may have supportive family members who live in Lagos while you are in Abuja, while your job is in Abuja, and you cannot, you may not be able to leverage on that relationship when it comes to taking care of your child or your children. So is there a family member that can support you? You would have to figure those things out. The third option too that you may want to look into, if you can afford it, and hopefully you can, is say a living help or nanny. This is an option that you may have to explore, so that your job does not suffer, so that every other aspect of your life does not suffer. So that support system is non-negotiable. Every single parent that is listening right now, these are things that you have to think about. Don't use God forbid. God forbid that there's an emergency. No, don't do that. Who can I call? If I need to get my child to the hospital, at so time of the night, is there somebody that can go with me? Who can I trust with this child for 2 hours? Who can I leave this child with for 3 days? Okay, so that is one thing.
Okay.
Then another thing would be to belong to a support group.
That's outside of the ones you've mentioned, outside of the family and friends and all that.
That one is, what I mentioned is support system. Now, this is a support group, meaning that a group of fellow single parents. Okay. When you have a group like that of fellow single parents that you maybe meet with once a month, hang out with once a month, or even if it's a WhatsApp group, okay, you see, it goes a long way to let you know that you are not alone in your troubles or in your struggles. It is when you feel that you are all alone, dealing with life alone, you are the only person who doesn't have a spouse, who doesn't have a partner or a co-parent. That is when the burden now looks bigger than ever. But you see, if you find a support group of fellow single parents, or you start a support group for fellow single parents, you see, when you are raising 2 children alone and you think you are stressed, you see someone that is raising 3. You may even meet someone that is raising 5.
True.
Then you people will talk about your struggles. You people will encourage one another because all of you understand. All of you understand what the other person is going through. And then they can hold your hand through the tough moment. So support group of other single parents, it will go a long way to help you.
All right.
Should I go on?
Yes, I want us to look at one thing which I think sort of acts as the springboard for everything else, right? There is a place of healing for people who are going through this. Healing. I think that's the first step, right? Like I said, in these parts of the world, it does come with a lot of stigmatization, irrespective of how it came about. By the way, there is one key area that we haven't mentioned that leads to single parenting, especially for the mothers, and that is by virtue of sexual abuse, right? There are people who have been abused and violated, and they end up taking in, and then they have to raise a child. For some reason, they're strong enough to say, look, I want to be able to do this. I don't want to have to let go of a life because I was violated. Some might not even know on time, and they just realize that they're pregnant and then it's too late for them. So there is that category of people as well. Let's mention that. So when you look at this category of people, when you look at people who are widowed, when you look at people who became single parents by virtue of a bad marriage, and even for the people who choose to go into it intentionally, there is something that needs to be reset in terms of their mental space, right? There's a lot of healing that needs to go on there, which I feel like if that is not addressed, would always lead to problems in the future. You have sometimes single parents taking it out on their children, especially in the case of, someone who was violated or someone who even had a bad marriage. You find that they unwittingly take it out on their children. It's not that they are being direct about it, but there is something that has messed with their psyche and messed with their self-esteem and messed with the essence of who they are, that then contributes to them being not the ideal kind of parent that they should be. So when you look at all of these different categories, let's talk healing. What are the steps that a single parent will need to go through to be able to heal so that they can contribute to the life of their child and even also contribute to the next relationship that they end up going into? Because you have cases where a lot of people who have gone through this are looking for that companionship once again. So they want to get married. But some of these things and insecurities that they're dealing with usually tend to bleed into the relationships that they would even want to get into. So what should single parents be looking at in terms of healing? The first story I told, the lady said it took her, how long was it? I think about a year.
9 months.
There we go. About 9 months before she started to, her case was compounded because she then lost her father. For some people, this lady's 9 months is another person's 9 years, right? So it varies and it depends on just how much they're able to heal from the experiences that put them in that position. So let's talk healing for single parents as a way of encouraging them to thrive.
Okay. So if I'm getting the question, I want to be sure that I understand the question you're asking me.
Yes.
That what steps can single parents take to heal from the experience?
Yes, that made them single parents.
Okay. So unfortunately, you see, one of the steps that helps us to heal helps us to heal faster, one of the factors that helps us to heal faster is that we separate ourselves from the pain. Okay? We separate ourselves from the pain. Now, in the case of single parents, they will not be able to totally separate themselves from the pain because this child now is an evidence, a constant reminder of the cause of my pain. This child now is the constant reminder to me of the reason why I am not able to do what I want to do. And many people will not even be able to separate it the way I have separated it. They will not say this child is simply a reminder of what caused my pain. They will say this child is the source of my pain. If not for you, I would not be here. If not for you, I would have been able to. A lady said to me that her mother will say to them that you are useless. That's she and her siblings. You are useless, and that's why your father abandoned you people. If you people if not that you are useless, your father would not have run away. You understand? Taking out the anger, the frustration on the children. In actual fact, the marriage ended because husband and wife could not settle their issues. And now, look at what she says to the children. Your father morning, afternoon, night, you are responsible for someone who reminds you of the cause of your pain. If the child now looks like the father, again, very well, you know those children that you see them and you say, is your father running away? Makes it even more difficult. But it doesn't mean that it is impossible. Okay? It only means that a lot more work has to be put into healing. A lot more work. The parent has to know that what I say every day, what I do every day matters. It matters so much that it would affect how this child turns out. And since this child is already taking most of my time, most of my energy, it is simply better I do it right, so that one mistake doesn't now become two. Okay? So reaching out for help, going into therapy, these are some of the things that they can do. Reaching out for help by going into therapy, talking to a professional about their frustrations, about their pains, so that they can deal with it. That's one thing that they can do.
Okay.
Another thing is that a single parent must not always put herself last or himself last. In as much as you're already in that place in your life, you have to be very responsible, but you must not always put yourself last.
What does that mean?
You have to create a system that allows you to take a break from that life, even if it's just once a month. And that is where the support system comes in. Is it your parent or a parent? Is it a good friend? Is it a trusted church member if you are religious? Or a neighbor that you have known for years? You just have to find a way to take a break from that life every now and then, to go out on your own or sleep all day if that is what you think you need, or take a long bath, light some candles, just do something for you and you alone. If it's even to save money to buy some items that you will really like, or an item that you will really like, something every now and then. Okay, if you cannot afford once a month, do it once in 3 months. But by all means, create a routine that allows you to take a break so that you can recharge. Then you come out stronger and continue. I think that these are very, very important.
Okay.
I would also like to talk about routines. A routine for yourself and a routine for your children, especially when they are young and they will not let you be when they are awake. Those moments, very, very frustrating. I remember as a mother, of course, I'm still a mother, okay, but when my first 2 children were still very young, and I couldn't really have conversations with them. I couldn't talk to them. One of the reasons why I couldn't wait for my husband to get home from work was just so that I can have an adult to talk to after doing baby language all day. Just somebody that understands me.
Yeah.
Somebody that I can tell I'm tired and the person will say, sorry, I get.
Yeah.
Needing adult companionship. And that's one other thing that single parents deal with. It is loneliness. As in serious loneliness. You have a sore throat, somebody to even tell that I'm going to take warm water now and lie down. Nothing. Do you always have to pick up your phone to call your best friend before you complain about something? What if she doesn't even pick? Okay, that loneliness is serious and is acute. All right, so I was talking about routines for the children. Yes. You cannot not do it. Train your children. Bedtime is... Put them to bed. Let them sleep. So that maybe you will have an hour or 2 to yourself before you go to bed, alone with your thoughts. Another aspect where you can make your life easier is in feeding the children. There may be parents who can afford to be cooking elaborate meals every day, not a single parent. Fix breakfast first. Breakfast is, let's say, bread and tea, for instance. Constant breakfast. So that you are not always stressed. just make sure that by the end of the day, they have a balanced diet. Maybe lunch is beans, or dinner for the children is beans every day. Just do something that makes your life easy. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So you will not be running helter-skelter.
So basically, keep it simple, right?
Keep it as simple as possible. Exactly.
Plan ahead. If you have time during the weekends, cook for the week.
Exactly.
Stuff
you
like
may now
that.
begin to cook ofe, onugu, everything. You may be experimenting. But so that you are not stressed out, seeing that you are alone, make it simple. Yes.
Okay. So what else in terms of routine for the parent and for the child?
Basically, I think that if the two that I have listed are implemented, already life is simplified.
Okay.
The children go to school, right? So if breakfast is already constant, then school lunch is probably just 2 different meals. And you say Monday, Tuesday is also thin, Wednesday, Thursday is also thin. Okay, you close early on Friday, maybe just a sandwich or something. You are not spending a lot of time cooking.
Right.
Then dinner can be anything, depending on how you want to do it. All right. Here in this part of the country, dinner is the most major meal of the day that we get to share with our family, at least for most families.
Yeah.
So you can make that a bit special, but at the same time, nothing too elaborate, so that you will not be spending too much time cooking.
Okay.
Then sending the kids to bed early every day of the week. Don't even let them twist you into staying awake till 11, because it means you are on duty till 11.
But what if...
Let them know that 8:30.
What if for the parents, that child... What if for the parent, that child is their companion? Are they allowed to be a bit flexible in that area? Because you might have cases where they actually draw strength. Yes. Okay.
They are allowed to be a bit flexible, but at the same time, they don't want to burn. So 9 p.m. is beyond perfect.
Okay.
An adult needs that, say 1 hour, 1.5 hours to themselves, not tending to a child from morning till night. I mean, a single parent, as soon as you get home from work, you resume motherhood or parenthood. You are doing homework. You are forced to listen to school gists. Only you. Okay, so it is good. I encourage that you send them to bed early.
Okay.
So if you want to download a dating app and be looking for life partner, you will even have time to chat. Yes.
That's a good one.
You would even have time to chat.
That's a good one.
If that's what you want to do. If you want to take a self-development course, you'll be able to dedicate 1 hour to it. If you want to learn a new skill, say improving your diction or learning a second language, you'll be able to dedicate at least a little time to it, so that all of your life will not seem like it's revolving around that child. You will be able to feel like a human being yourself, not lost in parenting.
All right. We have talked quite extensively, so I want to open up the phone lines now, see if we can get any contributions from people who are listening in. The numbers to call are 0700 951 0000 or 080 959 74869. You can also send in a message on WhatsApp or call on 080 993 We have been talking thriving as a single parent with my guest here, who is joining me virtually for this conversation, Mrs. Funmi Olubakin. And, it's important that this conversation came up today because you have varying situations of single parenthood. Perhaps we can talk a little bit about some of the challenges single fathers encounter before we go on the break. But my phone lines are open. Do call in. Let's share. Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning, Somi.
Yes. Hi. Good to have you here.
Yeah, my name is Mr. Shedo.
Okay, Mr. Shedo, would you like to contribute to this topic?
Yeah, maybe I know that I'm not mad, but so me too, I grow as without my parents.
Oh, okay.
So I know how those kind of challenges, So when my father and my mother, they separated when I was like 4, I'd be 5 years, you understand?
Yes.
So a single mother is not an easy something. So this is what I tell you, me and my mother and my father and myself, they separated over that kind of 5 years. Before I know my father, is that kind I was 20 years. You understand?
Mm.
So before I called my mother too, I was like 28 years. I can't see, I can't see my mother. I started to look at her like say maybe this one is my mother. So yeah, but I will say maybe there was some issue but up to date. I never asked her what was the reason why she leave us like that, me and my sister. So sometimes if you see a single mother they try, seriously they are trying.
All right.
So to be a single mother is not easy, but if you meet some woman, they don't really care about you. So the way I go advise her is that be a single mother. If you have someone that loves you, just make sure they have patience with that person. Because as I'm talking to you right now, the person that I'm about to marry myself, she's a single mother, but she also have a child for someone. You understand?
Wow.
So it's not an easy something, but some of them, if they sit here, they already have children, they can't be focused on you again, it's only the children. Yes, I know it's good because once I love you, I don't love your child with that now. But if you look some of them now, the only thing that depends if you love them, only their child, they also going to forget you. So I also encourage the single women, they may they try as if they have someone that and love the person so that the person do have the mind, the strength to protect the two of them. So that's my contribution because me, I know what single mother suffer and I know how single a child that grow without no parent. I know the kind of suffer that the child will suffer.
All right.
Me, I know the way I want to. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Shado. All right. So Mr. Shado is according to him, a product of a single, what they call it, a single or broken family. Let me put it that way because he says his mom left, you know, rather the mom and dad split up, but then his mom left them, himself and his sister. So as a result of a failed marriage, the mom, even maybe because of the trauma or being unable to be there emotionally for the children, then left them. And so he didn't even get to grow up with either of his parents as a result of that. So that's one contribution. We'll come to thoughts on that, but let's take this next caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good evening.
It's morning. It's okay. It's okay to say good morning.
It's morning already. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yes. Hold on for me.
Hi. Thank you.
Yes, and Madam, good morning. Can she hear me?
Okay. So, Mrs. Olubakin, the caller is saying hello to you and good morning.
Oh, good morning.
All right. So she said good morning, right?
Yes, it's King. I want to say well done to me for bringing Madam again and then taking this topic because I can relate to it very well. I'm not a single. I didn't grow up as a single child, but I understand anytime my parents are having their own thing, I can understand how very difficult it can be for us as children at that time. But we grew up very strong in the sense that my parents raised us as soldiers. So, so we're very strong. My parents can travel, my mom can travel and just leave us and we do our thing. So why I call is because I have people very close to me that have been single parents, and even a classmate of mine just lost his wife recently and
Oh dear.
left 4 kids. And then I went to the house and I noticed how these kids are already missing their mother. They were all over me because I know how to relate with kids. I train kids in sports, so I know their language. I know what they want to hear. And I noticed they're already missing their mother. And sometimes when you have a father that does not really understand children's language and the mother have always been with them doing everything, to shock you is that this woman went to prepare food for them in the morning and she fell and died.
Wow.
I'm a young woman of like 37 thereabouts. You get it. So it was, we felt really bad because this is a classmate that we finished secondary school together in this city. So we always see ourselves. We get it. As of last year, they were in my house. We had fun. We yab ourselves. We joke, and then all of a sudden, another friend just called me that DJ lost his wife. And nobody saw it coming. And this is not like a woman I know very well. I've seen her before, and it was really, I don't know. For me, I promise the kids that anytime they want to see me, they should just call me. I'll come around. Sometimes if they want me to come cook for them, I can just come and do something for them because their father can't even cook. It's not his thing. You get it? So
yeah.
It can be really crazy. I don't want to take over the show so others can call, but I must say well done. And I like the support group to not to just be like just for ladies support group or men support. Let it be mixed.
Yeah.
Like support group should be like both men and women should come together so that they can share their ideas and see how sometimes it's better people that are single parents to hook up with themselves, their experience, so they know how to go about this thing.
Assuming they've both been healed.
Yeah.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you so much, King, for sharing.
Yeah. Well done, madam. Good job.
All right. Compliments to you, Mrs. Olubakin from King there. He's saying thank you for the good job that you're doing. All right. So I take a few messages and then we have to go on a quick break. Thank you, Paul Kende Lokosu. He says this is a good topic. Mazu John Lasisi from Jigo Bari Abuja says, good evening. He says he's enjoying the conversation. Emperor Malinga Audu, leave this our blue conversation for later. Okay, Leviticus Sunday, great job, Somi. I'm a lover of you and your program. Thank you for complimenting. He says he's chatting all the way from Lagos. He also says single mothers may experience emotional stress due to the demands of parenting alone, handling potential social stigmas and coping with emotional aspects of separation or loss. And so having a strong system is crucial for any parents, which is another thing we've mentioned. Single mothers may face challenges if they lack a reliable network of family or friends to provide assistance and emotional support. All right. Thank you for your messages. We need to go on a quick break now. When we come back, the conversation will indeed continue. We're going to try and bring it to a close so that my guests can go on with her day. So stay with 95.1 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
This is Nigeria Info.